Let's talk about something most of us interact with daily: television. It's a device that sits in our living rooms, bedrooms, and it's on our phones, feeding us entertainment, news, and content to fill our lives. But what if we broke down the word itself? Television. Right from its name, there's a metaphorical suggestion that TV is telling us a vision, a reality shaped by someone else's narrative. It's easy to dismiss this as just a coincidence of language, but let's dig a little deeper. When we watch TV, we're not just consuming shows or news, we're being programmed. This is why they call it television programming. It's not just about filling airtime. Programming refers to the way TV is designed to shape thoughts, beliefs, and behaviors. And the channels? They're the avenues through which these narratives flow, directed right into our homes and, more significantly, into our minds. The power of programming television isn't just entertainment, it's a tool that shapes society's collective mindset. Think about it. When you turn on the news, a sitcom, or even a commercial, you're being fed a very specific narrative. The content you're watching has been created, produced, and distributed by people with their own agendas. This is where the concept of programming becomes more than just a term, it's a reality. We get programmed to accept certain ways of thinking, of living, of defining success. Whether it's the way relationships are depicted, how authority figures are presented, or how we perceive beauty and success, television molds those concepts. Over time, with enough exposure, we start to believe those ideas are universal truths. Let's break down the concept of channels. When you switch from one channel to another, you're essentially switching between different streams of thought, perspectives, and realities. Each channel has its own narrative, its own world. One channel might make you laugh with a sitcom, the next might immerse you in fear with a crime drama, and another might manipulate your emotions with news, designed to provoke specific reactions. It's no wonder why they call it channeling. Just like in spiritual metaphors, you're channeling a different frequency of reality. But what's key here is that these channels are not neutral. They are meticulously crafted to keep you engaged, emotionally charged, and most often distracted. They direct your attention, and in doing so, they control your thoughts, even if just for a little while. This is where we dive into the idea of brainwashing. Now, brainwashing sounds extreme, but in subtle forms, it's happening all the time. We don't realize it as it's happening over the years or even decades. As you watch television day after day, your beliefs, opinions, and even your desires are shaped by what you watch. The advertising industry alone is proof of this. Ads are designed to make you feel inadequate unless you buy a specific product, to make you associate happiness with material things, or to influence how you think about health, appearance, or relationships. News, for instance, doesn't just report facts, it shapes them into narratives. Different networks present the same event in wildly different ways. Why? Because each is appealing to a certain mindset, ideology, or political leaning. They're not just informing you, they're shaping how you think about the world. And with enough repetition, this becomes your reality. We begin to see the world not as it truly is, but as it is presented to us. And that's the heart of brainwashing. When someone else's vision becomes our own. Repetition is the key to programming the mind. TV shows, news cycles, commercials, they all operate on loops, repeating key messages over and over again. Think of catchphrases from commercials or key talking points from political news networks. You hear them so often that they become ingrained in your thought process, even if you don't actively agree with them. Television taps into a basic psychological principle. The more you hear something, the more likely you are to believe it. This is why political campaigns and commercials repeat slogans endlessly, drilling the message into your subconscious. Over time, without you realizing it, you've adopted beliefs and ideas that aren't even your own. They've been carefully implanted through repetition. One of the biggest dangers of television is how passive the consumption is. We sit down and absorb it, often not even fully aware of what we're watching. Whether it's background noise while we do something else or binge watching our favorite shows, television doesn't require us to think critically, and that's how programming works best. When we're in a relaxed state, we're more susceptible to absorbing messages without questioning them. This is different from other forms of media, like reading or engaging in discussions, which require active participation. Television, on the other hand, slips in under the radar, affecting us on a deeper level. It's no wonder that we can remember entire jingles from commercials decades ago, and certain shows define entire generations. The metaphor of a television as a box is apt. It boxes us into certain ways of thinking, of viewing the world, and of limiting our perceptions. We become prisoners of the stories it tells us, often without questioning their validity. The more we consume, the more confined our thinking becomes, as if the walls of the box grow tighter. But just like we can change the channel, we can also step outside the box entirely. It requires becoming aware of the programming, recognizing that what we're watching is carefully constructed with intent, and that intent isn't always in our best interest. The key to breaking free from this mental programming is awareness. The moment you start questioning what you're watching, you disrupt the programming. Television, by its very name and nature, is a tool designed to tell you a vision. Whether it's a vision of consumer-driven societies, a political agenda, or a distorted version of reality. Its power lies in how passively we consume it. The channels are designed to feed us carefully curated narratives, and over time, this has a profound effect on our beliefs and behavior. The only way to avoid falling victim to this programming is to take control of the remote, both literally and metaphorically. Choose what you watch carefully. Question what is being presented to you. Step outside the box and recognize that not everything on the screen is as it seems. The power of television lies in its subtlety. But once you see through the programming, you can begin to reclaim control over your own thoughts and perceptions.